Hello guys, welcome back to JP's Bake and Craft Academy. This is an online class where I teach all things sugar and all things edible. In this class, I'll be teaching you how to make simple sugar flour daisy with two different techniques. And also, I'll be teaching you how to make lifelike sugar lips. Please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and to leave a comment behind. My name is Ibepe John Paul of JP House of Cakes and Pastries. Thank you. Hello guys, welcome back. So in making the center disc of the daisy, which I have here over my hand, all you need is a yellow flour paste. Flour is for a 20 gauge, cut into two. Here is our Dresden tool, daisy cutter set. So these are the things I'll be working with. So now, all you need is just a little yellow paste, not too much. So you need something like this. This size is okay. So I pass it through the center of the daisy cutter. Then I try to spread it out a little bit. So when you spread it out, it should come in contact with the ends of this section of the cutter. So I'm pressing it downwards to spread out. Now, this is what I have over here. So once I'm done with that, with my plier, I cup the end 1, 2, 3. Release it out. Then I bend it downwards to form a loop like this. So once I'm done with that, inside my egg white, then I'll push it inside this paste. So this is what it should look like when you push it inward. Then I'll get a little bit of yellow paste and place over to cover it up. With the end of my Dresden tool, I'll use it to seal up. And after that, always make sure that your disc, yellow center disc, is leveled and also well rounded. So the next thing to do, you can use the smallest end of your ball tool or the end of your brush just to create a nice dent at the center. Once you're done with this, the next thing to do is to you dip the center inside the egg white. So the area covered in egg white, I don't dip the back in egg white, it's just the surface and also the sides. Then once I'm done with that, here is a mixture of CMC, yellow petal dust, and gelatin. So this is how I get my pollens for making daisy. I added the gelatin so it will give us good texture. So I dip it inside the mixture, then run the sides as well. Please, before you make this, make sure that the yellow center disc is already dried. When it's dried, you now moist the surface and the sides with egg white. Then you can toss it around inside the pollens that we just made. So you can see that it here is about pulling out because it's not properly dried. So I will just try to seal it back up. Then once I'm done with that, then the dent we made at the center has already gone off because of the textures we just added. So I'll now try to re-highlight that texture. So I'll now leave it to dry. So you can make as much as possible, depending on the number of daisies you want to make. So now that I'm done with this, we'll go over to make the daisy petals. So for the daisy petals, over here are some of the petals already made ahead of time, and I'll just quickly show you how I got to that stage. So whenever you're making this, try to make sure that the your paste is evenly thinned out. You shouldn't have a bumpy paste. Everything should be properly thinned out. So once I'm done with that, the next thing to do, I work with a lot of cornstarch. So I just spread a little bit of cornstarch over the surface so it doesn't stick so much. So when you cut out your paste directly like this, you end up having a tattered petals towards the edges. So I try to place the paste over my cutter, roll over the ends. Now once I'm done with that, I'll run through the rolling pin on the crevices and the corners of the cutter to make sure that my petals are all neatly cut out. So next thing to do is to pull off the excess paste. Then I'll push out my petal gently. That way everything comes out better and nice. So that's how I was able to achieve this one. So the next thing to do now, work with your foam pad. I would have used the white foam pad, but for you to have a clear view of what I'm doing, I'm working with a blue foam pad. So always apply cornstarch. Now with the end of your dressing tool, there are two ends, the pointed tip and the broad tip. Now I'm working with the broad tip. So I'm denting, trying to emboss on each of the petals. So you can see the angle at which I'm creating the dent. The distance between the tip of your dressing tool should line with the end of each petals towards this corner. So if the tip came in inwards, you're already going out of. So this is it. So the next thing to do now is to work with your pair of scissors. I cut the petal into two. You can see the petal didn't get through the very end, almost more than halfway into the petal. So you have to do this to the rest of the petals. So now I'm done with this. The next thing to do is to work with the pointed tip. So this is how I do it. I work on each petal now. I use my dressing tool to emboss each of those tiny petals. So I hope it's clear for you to see. So this is what I'm doing. Make sure that your foam pad has cornstarch in it, otherwise it will be sticking and messing things up for you. So to avoid your paste sticking onto your foam pad, dust it with cornstarch. So once I'm done with this, I'll repeat the same thing to this petal over here. So now I want to quickly show you how to have different or make different daisies with still the same technique. So here is my first petal and the second petal. I already cornstarched my foam pad. So the next thing to do is just to, with your dressing tool, the bulgy end, the flat side, try to emboss each of the petals. Then repeat this to the second one. So now that I'm done with this, the next thing to do is to... So the next thing to do now is to, the last stage. You don't really need to do much. Just what I want you to see now on how I attach the petals. The same technique I'll use to attach this, that's the same technique for this. So the only difference is just that This one over here was splitted into two, and this one wasn't splitted at all. Just a little bit of egg white. Then the next petal goes onto the surface. Now I'll try to adjust the petal so that everything would align. What I mean by adjusting the petal, just for example, this one over here, you don't attach the petals in such a way that they would all overlap on each other. Rather, you adjust the petals to fill up the spaces in between each petal. So that way, this is how it should be. This is exactly how it should be. So that's what I'm trying to get over here. So now, before I attach the yellow center to the petal, here is my foil and here is an egg. So I use the egg to cup my foil. So this is what you should have over here. Now, just hook through the center. Then apply a bit of egg white at the back of the yellow center. The next thing is to pass the wire through the center of the petals. Make sure that it's sitting properly. So this is it. Make sure that it's all seated properly. So this is what you should have. So I'll pass it through and allow it to rest in there. You can see. So I'll show you where I suspend it to dry. So over here is my flower rack. I place it over here. Even if you don't have something like this, you can bend the wire and place it over a glass cup or any container that can take the size of a foil. Just bend the wire over, then pass it through there for this to rest. If you hang it upside down, the petals would close up too much and it wouldn't really look that nice, but it's still going to come out nice, but not as I would personally want it to. So now it's over here. You can leave it to the next day. If you're working under an air-conditioned environment, in some hours, your flowers will be set and ready to be dusted. So now for the leaf, all I need is just a 24 gauge florist wire. Cut it into 4. Then with a little bit of green paste, make a sausage out of it and roll out both ends to create a center groove at the center. Once I'm done with that, the next thing to do is just to thin out one end, which will be the tip of a leaf. Then the center groove has to go through halfway into the cutter. So once I've done that, the next thing is to pass my florist wire into the center groove. Then apply a bit of cornstarch on your veiner. You can work with any veiner of your choice. So, pinch it out. Just rest it on your foam former for the leaves to dry out. So the next thing is to show you how I dust and assemble the flower. So finally our flowers are all dried out and you can see what it looks like. So once it's dried out, you easily just pop it out from the foil and this is what they look like. So this was the one I made yesterday as well. So this was the one. So this also was the one I made. Now you can see that the formation of, or the arrangement of the petal is totally different from this ones. So this particular one on my hand, I hung it upside down. So that's why I was like, I don't really like it when it's all, falling down. I like them when they are open. So the next thing to do now, I'll just quickly show you how to dust the leaf. So over here, I just a mixture of apple green and forest green, 50-50 mixture. Blend them together and dust over your leaf. So, personally for me, I don't dust the back of my leaves. I like them to have that pale complexity. So there are different shades of greens on my leaf. So now you can see, so I'm just trying to remove the cornstarch behind the leaf so you can see the difference between the front and the back. So once I'm done with that, the next thing, and make sure you remove the excess petal dust from your leaf. And the next thing to do is to work with your confectioner's glaze. So some florists, they like dipping all the leaves inside the glaze, but personally for me, I don't like the back of my leaf to be shiny. So I just do that only on the front. So once I'm done with the glazing, I would allow it to rest and dry after some minutes. So the ones I have over here are already dried. So the next thing I will do is to couple the leaves, couple the stem of my daisies, and that will be it. So now with my half-length florist tip, I will stem my daisy. So for me to increase the thickness of the stem, I like working with paper napkin, tissue paper. So with the help of my paper napkin or tissue paper, it helps me to increase the thickness of my flower stems. I just cut them in stripes. Because if you're working with your florist tip, you end up wasting your florist tip. But with the help of your paper napkin, you can easily increase the stem of your flowers. So the technique is just to attach the first florist tip that I've already done. That will help the paper napkin to stick onto the wire, or onto the stem, rather. So you can see. So I think this thickness is just okay. So I will now finish it up with tape. So you can see. So I'll do that to the rest of the flowers. So now over to the leaves. I'll just quickly stem the leaves. So the next thing I'll do is to attach my leaves onto the finished daisy. So we're done. So this is what it looks like. So thank you guys for watching. Can't wait to meet you in my next class. Thank you.